Hello, everyone. My name is Ira Fay, and I'm a game developer working with Eric's Curiosa on Sorcery Contested Realm. And this is the finals of a draft event held at Unison Games Cafe on October 21st, 2023. This was an alpha draft,
Terribly concerned about.
and we had 15 people show up for the event. There were some experienced players, quite a few new players, and I think actually my opponent this was their first time playing Sorcery, and they have gone 2-0 in this pod. We had two pods, one pod of 8, one pod of 7. I'm playing in the pod of 8. And you can start to see our opening hands. It looks like I have Miracle Workers, Common Sense, and Scourge Zombies. And one village and maybe 2 deserts is what I see. And I am playing an Earth Fire deck. And I had quite a strong deck. It was a very good draft. We did a video on the drafting process, so check that out if you haven't seen that yet. And my opponent is playing an Elementalist. So when you draft, everybody gets a Sorcerer avatar and as many ordinary sites as you need to build your deck. But if you happen to draft an avatar during the draft, you can use it. So my opponent got the Elementalist, I believe, in the 3rd pack. It was a very friendly draft. People were asking a lot of questions, and so I am aware that they got it in the 3rd pack, which is a little less advantageous because you can't really plan for it. But having gotten it in the 3rd pack, they're really playing every element that they want. There's basically no card that my opponent won't be able to play, and it looks like they've chosen to play a bunch of rivers, which is significant. You can see me pointing at the river there because I played a desert, and the Genesis effect is not optional, so I chose that. I could have chosen the desert itself if I wanted to, but okay. So what has happened at the start of this game? It looks like I led out with a humble village, which allowed me to get a foot soldier, and then I played a desert, so I have both of the elements I need, and now I'm playing a Common Sense, searching my deck for some good card. Common Sense is extremely powerful in draft. I mean, it's also extremely powerful in constructed as well, but it's extremely powerful in draft because most of the cards in your deck are ordinary. And I chose to get Amazon Warriors. I really love that card. These strong women with actual armor, able to fight off basically anybody. So they're great. And they cost 5. So I'm definitely telegraphing to my opponent that I'm going to play them later. But my game plan for this is to basically get up to 5 or probably 6 mana. And then every turn after that, draw a spell at the start of my turn, and then tap my sorcerer to draw a second spell. And then probably I will be able to play 2 spells per turn because I have built the deck to have between mana cost 2, 3, 4, 5, around 3 on average. So it's going to end up I think the real game plan for me is if the game goes long, the sorcerer is going to be able to outpace, I think, the elementalist in a draft format because I'm going to be drawing 2 spells per turn, and they'll be limited to only 1 spell per turn. And it's unlikely that we have any really super powerful high mana cost spells like Craterize or Meteor Shower or Major Explosion, anything like that. Those tend to be at higher rarities, and thus they just show up much less in a draft format. So we've seen that my opponent played a Midnight Rogue. They've been playing out all of their rivers, which have allowed them to look at the top of their deck and choose what they want on top or bottom. I'm a little surprised that they didn't opt to play some towers or some
so like I can move and attack
villages even to get foot soldiers, or deserts to take care of other foot soldiers. With the Elementalist, you really have a lot of freedom what to take.
You have a choice if you want to take defend or not.
But maybe they have Font of Life in their deck. I don't know. But if you have Font of Life, then you might want a very large body of water, allowing you to gain a lot of life. So that might be the reason. And also, rivers do let you get the cards you need when you need them. So the effect of a river is also quite good.
Okay.
I do think that villages and deserts and towers might be slightly stronger, but in limited play particularly. Okay, so what happened on that turn? I attacked with my foot soldier. They chose not to defend because they were worried that I would play a desert, and that would allow me to defeat their Midnight Rogue. So I think that was smart for them to simply take one loss of life, and then seeing that a desert wouldn't help me, I decided to play a village instead. And villages are, just basically, in some ways, I think of them as card advantage in limited play, because you get a 1/1, a 1 power
can I move here
unit without having to spend any spells. So I'm taking my time. I think that I saw that I had a Vile Imp. So right now that Midnight Rogue has stealth, and so I couldn't target it with my Vile Imp. But as soon as the Midnight Rogue attacks the Foot Soldier, which I anticipate it will, then I will be able to take care of it with the Vile Imp. So they're doing a ranged strike, and just to clarify the ranged ability, when you have a choice to either use your ranged ability or to use your built-in move and attack ability. So when you move and attack, you move if you want and attack if you want, and then the opponent can defend and all of that, and you take damage back when you're attacking. Whatever you attack will strike you back. When you're doing range strike, they do not strike back, and there's no defending or anything like that. So ranged is quite a good ability, and it does not take any damage back. You choose an opposing unit on an adjacent location. So that can include adjacent are the 4 orthogonal squares plus the square that you're on. All right, seeing that my opponent has played a Plumed Pegasus, that's a 3-power airborne unit. That's probably going to be higher priority for me to deal with than that Midnight Rogue, even though I would like to take care of the Midnight Rogue with my Vile Imp. I think that I'm going to prioritize taking care of the Plumed Pegasus. So the one thing to know, all right, so I play my desert. That's going to do 1 damage to everything atop the river there. And, I just saw that D20. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was a giant D20 that was given to me as a gift at Gen Con, and I have forgotten the name of the person who gave it to me, and I would really like to thank them. So if you're watching this video and you know who gave me that die, please post in the comments, because that's like one of my favorite souvenirs from Gen Con. And speaking, so what happened? I played apparently somebody bumped the camera. I played the desert dealing 1 damage to the Plume Pegasus, then I played my Vile Imp doing 2 more. So we're seeing the power of Vile Imp combined with deserts. You can often end up taking care of a 3-power minion. And there are other tricks that you can do, particularly with things like Miracle Workers, which I saw that I had in my hand. I will be able to, maybe trade somehow with the Vile Imp, and then play Miracle Workers, get the Vile Imp back, and then attack. And then deal the extra damage. So, all right, so this is interesting. About the site placement. So my opponent was thinking, okay, well, I don't know where to put it. Where should it go? And I think this is one of the things I really love about Sorcery. There is such subtlety and deep strategy with where you place your sites. And even in a limited format where we really don't even have that much of a variety of sites, there are still very interesting decisions, because if you
That's annoying, but like I can't
want to
plan
sort
for
of
that
defend
card that
your
you may or may not
territory
have.
such that you can ramp up to something like 10 mana, then it really is important to make this sort of wall in the middle of the realm and block off those squares. So by my opponent playing in square, I guess that's square 6, it defends, it protects their ability to later in the future play in square 1 or play in square 2. And that means that they're going to be able to guaranteed ramp up to a higher amount of mana, which can be important depending on your deck. But many decks do not actually care about ramping up that high, in which case you might consider playing in a more concentrated area so that it might be easier to defend. Because right now, that's going to sort of spread out the area, the surface area, sort of where you could end up being attacked. All right, so they played a river and then used the Genesis ability, and I think I saw them put the card on the bottom. So that is the river doing work and really helping increase the quality of cards in your hand. We see that they have 2 Petrosian Cavalries, excellent cards in draft. The fact that they have charge, they can really be effective. And we also see a drown, which can be nice if I ever move in to their territory. And Cauldron Crones are a little sad. I don't know, with something like a Foot Soldier, I think that can often be really nice because then you're turning your Foot Soldier into even further card advantage. But given that they're not playing villages, I'm not sure exactly how high I value the Cauldron Crone. And I also see Spin Attack in their hand, which can be nice. All right, so we're discussing briefly the range mechanic again. So just to reiterate, that Midnight Rogue can move and attack, but cannot move and range strike. So they could, if they wanted to, move in and attack the desert, at which point I could defend. But all right, so we're just saying if the Midnight Rogue were there, then okay. But the other thing to realize about range strike, just the one other thing to add, is that when you do your range strike, it has to be against a unit. So simply firing an arrow into the desert does not, in fact, cause any life loss to the avatar. It won't. That won't work. So that is the one downside of range strike. But still, they still have the normal move and attack. So if you wanted to move and attack with the Midnight Rogue, you could.
Oh, okay.
All right,
so anything can jump in the way.
I guess they're debating exactly the permutations of how to proceed. And I guess I'll just take a moment to talk about the draft format. So we drafted 3 alpha boosters, and I want to acknowledge, thanks to Eric, these were leftover. We had a few extra leftover boosters from Gen Con. And I asked if we could run an alpha draft at Unison Games Cafe, and Eric said yes, we could. So thanks to Eric, and thanks to Unison Games Cafe for letting us run such a fun event. And I had a great draft experience. There were a lot of people who just, showed up and had fun. I mean, that's really what the game's about. All right, so it looks like they're playing the cavalry.
No, the Midnight Rogue's going to sit there.
And then charging in, which is great. They did 3 life. I could have, if I wanted to, defend that with both my Violent and the Foot Soldier, trading both of them for the cavalry. But because I see that I have Miracle Workers in my hand and a desert, I know that I can make a very profitable trade here. And I'm going to be able to have, I think, quite a powerful turn, because I think we'll see how it plays out. I think the first thing that I start with is getting rid of my Violent. So I'm attacking with it. I'm attacking the cavalry. At this point, it doesn't really matter what my opponent does. They could defend with the Midnight Rogue, or they could simply let the Petrosian Cavalry take the 2 damage, which is what they chose in this case. Effectively, the outcome was going to be the same. So I deal 1 damage to the Petrosian Cavalry with the desert. That makes 3 with the previous attack from the Violent. And now I'm almost certainly going to play, so I'm going to play Miracle Workers. And here's the power of Miracle Workers if you have units on the board. So because I already had Violent in play, I was able to effectively get an extra card draw from the Miracle Workers. And now I do one more damage or one more life loss with the Foot Soldier. So my opponent is at 18, I'm at 17, but that was a very big swing. And this is the sort of power of Violent combined with deserts. Without the desert, that I would have had to also give up the Foot Soldier, and I wouldn't have been able to dish out that extra damage. And I think, I assume my opponent probably is going to play out their other cavalry, but the fact that I was able to take care of 2 of their units with effectively not using up any of my units. I mean, I did lose a Violent, but the fact that I was able to replay it right away was obviously significant card advantage and board advantage. All right, they play Petrosian Cavalry, their second, and they take out my Foot Soldier. That's very reasonable. They need to try and get the board under control, but it is going to be tough for them because I'm nearing the point. I'm at 5 mana now. I'm probably going to, I think I might even have another site in hand right now. I'm nearing the point of starting to play 2 spells a turn. I'm probably going to play 2 spells this turn, and then every turn for the rest of the game, I'm going to be playing 2 spells. And my opponent will be able to keep up for a little bit, but eventually they're going to run out of cards in their hand, or certainly run out of productive cards in their hand.
I can't stop you.
So, all right, and I just drew Border Militia. And talking about earlier what I was saying about the placement of sites, I did mention to my opponent that Border Militia exists as a card. And you can see I'm just getting in for 3 more damage now. And, I don't want my... Oh, right. And now here come my Amazon Warriors. That was very efficient mana spending. I spent 1 for the Foot Soldier token and then 5 for my Amazon Warriors. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be very tough for them, but we'll see what comes of it. I do see them looking at that spin attack, and the spin attack could help them significantly here, because, well, let's see what they end up playing. So I think they're gonna, all right, they play out their river, all right, and again, by playing it there, they are basically protecting site square 5, right? They're gonna definitely be able to, if they want, at some point, play a river on square 5. But it does, do they actually need do they need more than 6 mana to play this game? Because if they don't need more than 6 mana, then they could instead play that river in square 2. And then there are just fewer locations where I can attack them. All right, so what are they doing? They're moving their cavalry. If they had attacked with their cavalry against either the Imp or the Miracle Workers, I would be able to defend with my Amazon Warriors. But because they simply moved and did not attack, I could not defend because there was nothing to defend against. And then they played spin attack. So that was an excellent play. Really nice. And they were able to start to, stabilize the board a little bit. They have 2 mana remaining. There's definitely an issue that they have with the Amazon Warriors coming in. They played a Snow Leopard to be able to defend against the Amazon Warrior attack. And I now have 6 mana. So we have reached the point in the game where my deck as Sorcerer is just going to churn out 2 cards a turn. And because I'm able to draw 2 spells, I can shape my mana curve to either be 3+3 or 4+2, or in the case of last turn, it was 5+1. So there are a lot of possibilities. Now it's possible maybe there'll be a turn where I only play 1, but at least for a while, I'm going to be able to play 2 cards most turns. And that will be hard for the Elementalist to keep up with. All right, so the other thing that I have not had a chance to call out yet, but it tended to be the game plan of this deck, and if you saw the draft video that we posted of this deck, I drafted 2 Scourge Zombies and 2 Common Sense. So that tends to be very powerful. All right, now I think I'm attacking the cavalry here. And my opponent has the choice of either defending with the leopard and keeping the cavalry out, or letting the cavalry simply be killed by the warriors, or defending with the leopard and keeping
There's no okay.
and keeping the cavalry
like, okay,
in,
so now I'm gonna buff it and
trading
I'm
5
gonna
for
go
5. So I think if it were me, I would be likely to
I think it's just gonna
either trade the leopard and the cavalry for the warriors, or defend with the leopard and let the cavalry live. So I don't think this is a slightly off. It really doesn't matter much. I think it's a difference between having a 3-power unit or a 2-power unit. I mean, obviously 3 power is better, but they decided to not trade both because they're holding Drown in their hand. And this way, by keeping the leopard up, they were able to defend against the foot soldier. So there was no productive attack for the foot soldier because they chose to let the cavalry be killed. So here's an example of the 2-card play. I was able to play Boss Control, and I was able to play Scourge Zombies. I separated them on sites because I anticipate next turn attacking 2 different sites, and then if they happen to have the card Stormy Seas, it's an exceptional card, I believe. So it's relatively unlikely to see it. Maybe it's ordinary. I can't remember. I don't want to have both of my units on the same site. All right, so they play Drown. And, if they had, thinking back again about why they are playing all rivers,
I was just trying to figure out
if they happen to draft a bunch of Drowns, that's another good reason to have all rivers, because that way, no matter where the opponent is, you'll be able to take care of their unit by drowning them. And also, just thinking even further about that, I do have Sandworm in my deck, which is quite a powerful minion in many cases, but they're completely ineffective, against rivers. So thinking more deeply about the site choice when you have Elementalist, I do see the benefit of, there are certainly benefits of going all rivers, because Drown tends to be a low draft pick. All right, they played out a Spectral Stalker. They did Drown and then Spectral Stalker. I guess they're planning on trying to take care of my foot soldier over there. I don't know. I might have been more tempted to try and defend against this the Scourge Zombie. If they had perhaps gotten Spectral Stalker over by the Scourge Zombie, they could have traded 1 for 1 over there and taken less damage, because by playing it here, they're going to take 5 damage. So they're now taking 5 damage, 3 from the Boss Control and 2 from the Scourge Zombie. And now I'm still going to play 2 cards. I still have 2 cards to play right here. Maybe I'm only going to play 1, I guess. Let's talk about the Scourge Zombies. So Scourge Zombies are very powerful in limited format, because they provide such significant card advantage. And the text is, whenever an allied mortal dies on land, you may bring the Scourge Zombies back from your cemetery into the realm tapped.
Oh, I love this card so much.
So, or something like that. That was from memory. But that's basically what they're doing. And what that means is the game plan of my deck in most cases is to play out the Scourge Zombies early, which is quite likely because I have 2 of them in my deck plus 2 Common Sense. And then I can basically, for every foot soldier, for every miracle worker that dies, I get to get back 4 power worth of units. And it's really overwhelming. So you saw in this game. All right, so my opponent is trying to move in, and they're not going to attack for the same reason, because I think they're trying the spin attack trick again. But I'm
You can swing.
Yeah, I'm explaining that.
Okay.
Because they're moving in, I can intercept. So the parallel from the parallel to attacking is defending.
Yeah.
So if somebody attacks, then you can defend. But if somebody moves without attacking, you can intercept. And the rules for interception are different than defending. The rules for interception are that you have to be on the site or wherever the location is where the enemy unit is entering. So you can't. With defend, you get to take a step and defend, but with interception, you do not get to take a step. You just have to be there. But
So
that's
if
what
you
was
start
happening.
an
The Spectral
attack
Stalker
and I
was
have
moving
something
in
here, can
to
I
where
then
the
jump in
Scourge
front?
Zombies was.
Show me the example.
Also,
like,
when you
say the
intercept,
snow
as we're
leopard was
discussing,
here, and I move
you
here.
they're showing. Well,
my
what if
turn.
You're
the
attacking me.
what if
Yeah.
leopard was
You
there?
have one attack.
Well, I don't
When you
wanna
intercept,
attack. Like,
it's
if I move
simply
here
a
and I choose
one-on-one
not to
fight. There's
attack.
no pulling in extra units or
fine.
anything like
Now, I
that.
have the
It's
option to
just
intercept.
straight
Yeah,
up
these two go
one-on-one.
mano.
If you have multiple
no
untapped
extra
units,
people piling in.
they can all simultaneously
Can't invite
intercept and fight whatever unit is moving into the location. But in general, we are doing a one-on-one fight, and it does not trigger attacks. There are a variety of effects in the game that say when you attack or when you attack and kill. That is not happening. There's no attack trigger if you are not attacking. So that's pretty straightforward. But if you're just moving and not attacking, then there's no attack trigger. So those are the two main differences between moving and intercepting compared to attacking and defending. All right, so my opponent is now trying to figure out what they should do. They do have six mana to work with, and they have spread out their sites. So there's really
not
like
played
quite
anything.
a
I sat
wide
here for a
range
while
of
to
area
think
where they
about
could
my,
be
like,
attacking, but it's hard to know because or where I could be attacking
Nope,
then,
I'm not gonna move.
because
trying to
they've
figure out how to
basically
do this
reserved up
properly,
to 8
but I don't
mana
think-
worth of squares to be
I'm
able to
poor
play all
position.
their sites out. But I don't know that they need that many sites,
I'm gonna attack your
and
okay.
and it's going to make my border militia quite effective, and it's going to make it hard for them to defend all of this area. So
One Scourge Zombies in
I don't have incredibly powerful units here. I have,
foot
I mean,
soldiers
the
are a
boss
pain,
troll
because
is
if I
the
kill
most
the foot
powerful,
soldiers, then your
but
Scourge zombies come back.
I have like 1 and 2 power units.
they-
So
come back, they have to die in land.
the snow leopard is actually holding off
So if I
my foot
stay in
soldier
my
pretty
little
effectively.
pool,
And you can imagine if their
fine.
sites were even a little more condensed, it might be even easier. Because they haven't played any cards yet, so we'll see.
I'm gonna play
We'll see
this
what they end
Cauldron.
up playing. All right.
I'm gonna sack this.
They're thinking about playing Cauldron Crone and sacrificing the snow leopard.
Hey.
But they realize before they draw, maybe
Need
that's
cards.
not a worthwhile
I'd rather
trade.
discard a card.
It is
I
possible
could
to
just
simply
play it for-
play
and
the
not sack my
Cauldron
leopard.
Crones
You don't have to.
as a 1 power unit.
Better than Snow Leopard. Yeah, maybe.
Probably, but
But then good reason to redraw.
All right, so we'll see
Wait,
what they end
I
up
started
deciding.
to the top.
Let me
I know
talk
what it is.
slightly more about Scourge Zombies. So, as I was mentioning before, the Scourge Zombie plan
forgot I
is
did that.
extremely powerful if your opponent has land sites. But my opponent has only water sites, and therefore the Scourge Zombie, even if I attack and the foot
attack
soldier
it.
dies, I would not on their
gonna
sites.
play
I would
there.
not be able to. I would not be able to bring back my zombies underwater from
That's all.
the water. So so that's another benefit of rivers, and that's why when we saw, I didn't discuss this at the time, but when we saw on turn 2, way back on turn 2, when I played Common Sense, normally most games I would go get a Scourge Zombie, but because I know how powerful they can be, but because I saw that my opponent was playing water, I decided to get the Amazon Warriors instead. All right, so in this case, I could in fact take out my own foot soldier and get that Scourge Zombie back. So I could have used the desert to take out my own foot soldier. I don't know that was worth it. I think I decided to draw another site here because we saw last turn I only played a 4 cost minion, and I didn't play anything else. So maybe I happen to have a bunch of 4 cost and 3 cost cards in my hand right now, and so maybe I am trying to get up to 7 mana, or maybe I'm just willing to spend the extra card because either I was hoping to get another Humble Village and get
I'll
another
take 5.
unit out of it, or I'm going to be playing Border Militia now, and I'm happy to get 5 power. So one thing that's interesting, my opponent chose to play the Tufted Turtles on square 8, but if they had played it on square
so you have
7, possibly also with the Cauldron Crones on square 7, they would have been able to defend more effectively against the Scourge Zombies, because the Tufted Turtles would have been able to come over and defend. So the fact that they have, spread out their sights so much and then kept the Tufted Turtles in the center there, they did have a little bit of trouble defending their life, and I'm able to keep whittling it down. I did 5 life loss from the Boss Troll and Scourge Zombie again, and then I just brought 5 power onto the board. I'm not sure exactly what I'm holding. Okay, I see. Miracle Workers, obviously not useful unless I'm trading my units. I have an Overpower, which can certainly make, I can use that effectively with my Foot Soldiers to get in some extra damage. And I saw a Minor Explosion. And so I anticipate that I will be using Minor Explosion. I'm probably planning ahead a little bit and planning on using Minor Explosion for the Death Blow. I'm going to get my opponent to Death's Door with my Foot Soldiers and maybe with Overpower, things like that. And then I will be able to save the Minor Explosion for the Death Blow. I do see, just thinking back to my opponent's logic of playing the Tufted Turtles and Cauldron Crones where they did, maybe their anticipated plan is they will just get to Death's Door and then have a bunch of minions defending their avatar and make it difficult for me to get the Death Blow. So I understand that, but I think in this case, because we're in a sorcerer versus elementalist situation where I'm going to be able to just draw more spells, the long game does favor me, I think. Okay, so I got them to Death's Door. I did 2 with the Scourge Zombies, and then I attacked with a total of 4 other Foot Soldiers, one of which got blocked, one of which got defended against, but I was able to get through enough. And I also had the Overpower in hand if I really needed it. They did, on their previous turn, they did drown my Boss Troll, but I was really too far ahead at that point. And we're seeing the situation where my hand size is continuing to grow. I'm drawing useful spells like the Caravan, but they're only really gaining one spell a turn. We saw that 1 drown last turn against the Boss Troll, but then nothing else. They weren't able to add to their board presence. Now, part of the problem is they do have, I saw that they had a Disenchant in hand, which in limited play tend to be not as useful a card. It can be incredibly surprising if you end up getting to hit an artifact, a key artifact, or a key aura with it. But because there tend to be fewer auras and artifacts in play in a limited environment, Disenchant or Dispel tend to be a little bit lower priority for me in a draft. So as a reminder, this was an alpha draft. They attacked. It looks like they just attacked my Foot Soldier. I could have defended with my Caravan, but I know that I have my Minor Explosion in hand. So my plan next turn is going to be to move my Sorcerer up 1 and then Minor Explosion. And that's the power of fire. So the draft had 25 cards in the spellbook, 12 sites, and players were provided with any number of ordinary sites plus the Sorcerer avatar. My opponent happened to draft an Elementalist, so we're seeing them play all 4 elements, which is pretty fun. I don't think I've actually seen them play an Earth card yet. And this was an alpha draft at Unison Games Cafe in Hamden, Connecticut. in October
yeah, that'll
of
go there.
2023. And we had a lot of new players. It was a lot of fun. And thank you very much. All right, so we're seeing the final death blow. I drew a spell for the start of turn. I moved up one, and then 2 steps away, minor explosion. And yeah, that's the game. This is, I think, a very. I mean, I think it was a tough matchup for the Elementalist. It was nice that they had water to be able to counter my Scourge Zombies. But in the end, I think the card draw power of the Sorcerer was able to outpace them, and I just had a lot of good cards. I mean, 2 Vile Imps, 2 Common Sense, the Scourge Zombies, had some, you know, the Amazon Warriors. So, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this finals video of the Alpha Draft at Unison Games Cafe, and have fun contesting around.